This is LBC News.
It's exactly 8:25 here on Weekend Breakfast, and private tenants can't legally be evicted from their homes in England until September the 20th. A ban brought back in March to protect people through the worst of the coronavirus outbreak was due to end on Monday. The Housing Secretary, Robert Jenrick, has extended it for 4 weeks and follows the example in Wales with another measure.
We felt it was important that we increase the notice periods to protect renters during the autumn and the winter of this year. And so if your landlord serves notice on you, they won't then be able to take any further action for 6 months.
Landlords say they're being left to foot the bill. Well, let's talk more about this now here on LBC News. Delighted to say I'm joined by Franz Doerr, the CEO of rental payment tech company Flatfair. Very good morning to you, Franz.
Hey, good morning. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us here on LBC News. So what have you been doing during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, we all put our heads together, obviously, and we're thinking really hard how we can support both landlords and tenants during these difficult times. Obviously, in our opinion, the extension of the eviction ban to the 20th of September is not necessarily an effective long-term solution. So in our opinion, the government is really just, kicking the can down the road. And landlords and tenants really, need to take matters into their own hands and sort things out at the end of the day. So we have effectively developed 2 new solutions for landlords and tenants. One is a new product called Resolve, which is free for landlords and tenants and helps them to come up with a rent arrears payment plan, how they can effectively delay rental payments and still stay compliant. And we also have developed a new tool for landlords, which is called Boost, where landlords can effectively more than double their usual protection that they have from a traditional deposit, which is now kept at 5 weeks rent. Because we think who's really impacted here are, the buy-to-let landlords who really rely on that rental income, especially now as they have to give 6 months notice, which is a long time and very, very difficult for private landlords to plan. So we kind of put our heads together and we're pushing those products out to the market, which are now available.
Yeah, so the new plan that's come into place at the moment, as you say, a bit of a stopgap. It does appear to be something that the government needs to look at in more detail when they return from their summer recess.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some interesting ideas, for example, that the Welsh government has already implemented or is soon to be implemented, like a tenant loan plan, for example, which currently applies to the private rental sector only, allowing tenants to borrow money to cover the arrears that they have built over time at very affordable interest rates. So there's a lot of different ideas, but I think, the UK government really needs to act now. This crisis is not getting better. As more people lose their jobs, there's a growing crisis in the rental sector. Shelter estimates, for example, that more than 500,000 renters are already taking on debt, such as overdrafts, credit cards, and payday loans even. So there is need for a solution. The government really needs to start acting instead of just making, last-minute announcements to delay this timeline.
And what have renters been saying to you about how they've been struggling during the pandemic?
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, due to this eviction ban, obviously we don't necessarily see the full impact yet. But as obviously rent arrears are mounting, the real stressful period will happen now in the fourth quarter of this year, with more and more tenants not being able to pay rent. But in general, there's a lot of distress in the market.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for talking to us here on LBC News. That's Franz Doerr, the CEO of rental payment tech company Flatfair.